Back to Access Tech Live.
Back on the show, Google's been in the news a lot lately, coming off their annual developers conference just last week. Christopher Patton is the company's head of accessibility and disability inclusion, and he's also the founder of Google's ADC, Accessibility Discovery Centers. Stephen may not be here this week, but he caught up with Christopher to talk all about them, including a new one in Ireland.
I'm thrilled to say that we've opened our second ADC. This one is in Ireland.
That's amazing. Now, tell for people who don't know, explain what the ADC is, and we'll get into the history of it. But let's start with what ADC actually stands for.
Yeah, so ADC stands for the Accessibility Discovery Center. This is the sort of the second generation of ADCs that we have. The first ones we have were in the U.S. and in Mountain View in New York, and they were internally focused to help make Googlers understand what does it take to make your products accessible, introduce them to assistive technology, and the like. But in London, we had a lot more space, so we got excited about let's open it up to the world. So we've come, by the time this episode is going to be broadcast, we will have passed the 3,000 person mark since December 2022 of people coming into a London ADC. So what that means is we've had a huge number of people who want to understand what is accessibility, why is it important, how can we make our products more inclusive, how can we make our work culture more inclusive. And we've had everything from the UK shadow cabinet all the way to local borough school kids doing school tours and charities and businesses and universities and the like. But it's been remarkably successful. So we asked, is any other site willing to do this? And Dublin stepped up first. So they are the first site outside of London for this externally facing ADC, and it's the first one in the EU.
That's incredible. That is fantastic. And like you say, first in the EU, which of course sticks in our craw over here in the UK a little bit because, you know, we used to be part of that thing called the EU, but let's not go there. Let's just park that one. Listen, you mentioned that these ADCs started off internally. And I think it's really important to dig into that because, of course, the key point there was to, as you say, educate people who work at the company about accessibility. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in this idea that because Google is a company that prides itself on making products as accessible as possible, that it is just ingrained in everyone's knowledge across the organization. But of course, it just can't be, can it? It's not possible for every single person to know every single nuance of accessibility. So that's why I guess these are so successful. Do you think that that has actually helped in product development and making all the products more accessible across Google?
I think so, and for a couple of reasons. One, well, I do want to say that anyone who comes into Google, especially in our engineering organizations, they have to take training in accessibility. So everyone that comes through the door is taught about accessibility at the very beginning. It's part of our onboarding process. But once you learn about how to do accessibility, we need to partner with the community to make our products accessible. So we need to do partner research. So half of the ADC site that we have in London is dedicated to that conversation of what's broken, what's working, what's not working. What I'm really stoked about, and pardon my Californianism, is when we were first starting to build the ADC here in London, we were talking to Robin Spinks from the RNIB. And he's been a great partner with us. And he said, you know, the Pixel camera is a really good camera. I wish you guys could make a magnifier out of it. And we talked about it, and I said, you know, that'd be a really cool idea. Will you help me come up with some ideas? So we put together the description, and we convinced the Pixel team to build the new digital magnifier that's on Pixel, and it came out of the ADC. So we can point to that as proof that the whole inclusive design process, you design with and co-design with the community, changes how you do things, and in some cases creates entirely new products.
And it actually allows you to connect with people in a way that I guess maybe there's other parts of tech organizations, tech companies that would maybe be jealous of this, right? Because when do you get the chance to sit down with the people who are actually using the technology? And it seems in our accessibility world, there is more of an opportunity for us to connect with companies. Now, Google, I have to say, you've gone a lot further as a company than perhaps I think other companies have. I mean, lots of companies have done great work in the world of accessibility. We know that. But actually reaching out and saying, here is a place you can come, and here is a place you can come and see us and talk to us and ask questions and come up with ideas just like that. You know, hey, the Pixel camera could be a great magnifier. You know, that conversation may not have happened had it not been for that center.
Exactly.
So I guess you must be really proud of that.
I'm super proud, and I'll admit it was a bit of a risk because no one had ever done anything like this before. We took a chance, and it's paid off. The ability for us to communicate with the community, whether it's the blindness community, the low vision community, the deaf or hard of hearing communities, we have tools that can make their lives better in many ways. But if you don't know about it, it can't do you any good. So this is a space that's given us a chance to sort of share what's cool and what's helpful, but at the same time have them say, you know, I like that, but this would make it better for me. So having that conversation, so the teaching and listening, the humility, knowing that you're never going to get it perfect for everyone. So come and listen to how we screw it up to make it okay for you, knowing that you're going to screw it up, because nothing is perfect for everyone. Especially when you start considering the broad spectrum of needs of people with disabilities. Something that's accessible for one person is not accessible for another. So perfection can't be the goal. The process of inclusion, the process of iteration, realizing that you just need to keep going and coming back to it, that's what makes products better. That's what makes products more inclusive. It's the humble iteration, not some mythical day that AI is going to save the day.
Tell me about an example. I'm sure there's many, but I'm intrigued if there's anyone who's come in with no knowledge at all about accessibility, has come to the ADC Centre in London or perhaps the new one in Dublin and said, okay, I know nothing about this, tell me something. And as a result, something great has happened. There's
been a couple of companies that after tours and sort of follow-on conversations, because they've actually made changes to the product line. So one I don't want to name names because I don't want to shame anyone for having not done it before, but I know of two companies at this time that have made changes and made commitments to change their product lines to make it accessible for a tour and to follow on conversations to sort of fill in some blanks.
And you must be proud. I mean, you know, as you say, this started internally, but now this is external in London, in the UK, and now in Dublin. And you know, I know we can talk about what's maybe coming up, but, you know, the fact is that it's happening here, and it feels like it's kind of in this new way happening here on this side of the world first. Kind of unusual, right? These things tend to start in the US, for example, especially with Google being a US company. You would imagine that things would start from there. But how do you feel about it, sort of starting from here, from your perspective, having the ability to lead this? It must be quite a moment for you.
Well, yes, I'm proud. But I think what we have is an opportunity. It's the right time and place to have these kinds of conversations. I came from the US to London in July of 2021. And the pitch that I pitched my job was using the European Accessibility Act. I wanted to come out here and get Google ready for the European Accessibility Act, and this work is well underway. There's so many international companies here in London. Dublin is in the EU. We're talking about building more places on the continent, on the mainland, over the next year. So there's going to be more ADCs helping with these conversations of making your products inclusive and accessible, because we have to if we want to sell in the EU.
And it's also important to note, and I noticed it firsthand when I was at CES in Amsterdam last year, is the number of companies in Europe that are focused on accessibility. I noticed it myself at CES. Now, that's, again, a major American event reaching out into Europe, because even they're noticing that there are so many companies out there who want to make accessible products, who want to make great products, that are perhaps not getting the spotlight. And so that's why they set up CES Amsterdam. But when I was there, so many companies were focused on accessibility. It's a tool for the public good. Would you agree?
Yes, but I'm an optimist. I'm one of these hippies from California that want to change the world. We have this space to make our products better. Our leadership and our business has recognized the value as a relationship builder with other companies. But you're right. It's not a Google sales space. I have Microsoft Kit in the Xbox Adaptive Controller. I have the new PS5 access controller. I have an iPad showing off Apple's excellent live speech tool, and I have our tools as well. So it's not a place to sell Google. It's a place to sell accessibility and the value of disability inclusion.
And you do speak and spend time with the accessibility heads in other organizations, don't you? I mean, I think I've walked into a meeting once where you were standing there with Microsoft and Apple, and I was even quite surprised at the fact you all talk to each other. But this is something you pride yourselves on. You actually do communicate. Accessibility is not seen as a competitive area. I mean, it is, because obviously, well, of course, right, it is a competitive area, but, the foundational elements of it are about inclusion, and that even applies across companies.
It does. We will compete tooth and nail on the features, who has the best features, who has the best support. But in the end, it's all about supporting the community. So that's where we work together. You take a look at the Accessible Speech Project, which is in the US, about providing non-typical speech data to help voice assistants and voice language models be more inclusive of people, say, with dysarthric speech or Down speech. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta all came together and is working with a university in Illinois to house and process the speech data. So we work together where it makes sense, and we work together to support the community. But it's wonderful to have competition, because it keeps us sharp. It keeps us doing really interesting things.
Well, we should definitely bring Access Tech Live to an Accessibility Discovery Center. I think that has to happen, so that you can talk me around all of this wonderful stuff. It'd be amazing to do. Congratulations again on the work you're doing at Google. It's an amazing job. I know whenever you come into a room at an event, people just are drawn to you. And I know you don't like to make it about you, but someone has to start this ball rolling, and you're doing it, and it's a great piece of work. So I just want to say thank you from the community to you.
Thank you. And I just have to say, it is really about the community. It's driven by the community. I have a community of people here we're all working together. And only by working together can we make the impact that we want to have.
It's Google's Christopher Patton with Stephen Scott. Coming up, our question of the week. Who is your most iconic video game character? Marnie wrote in and said Miss Pac-Man, and we got an email from Sarah that said Yoshi, but what's your answer? We're going to find out after a quick break here on Access Tech Live. Don't go anywhere.
There's more Access Tech Live to come. Get involved and have your say at Access Tech Live on social media. We'll be right back.